Bang, saya dah 20 tahun kerja kilang Jepun di Malaysia. Saya lihat kebanyakan Jepun yang dah pencen tak nak balik Jepun selepas kontrak mereka habis. Kenapa ya?
Visited almost 70 countries now, and if I had to choose one to live in right now, I would choose Malaysia. That would be number one at the top of the list.
Halo, hai teman-teman, apa kabar kalian? Jumpa lagi di channel Sari. Semoga kalian yang menonton video ini tetap dalam keadaan baik-baik saja, tetap semangat dan selalu berpikiran positif, oke? So teman-teman, di video kali ini Sari mau reaction dan juga membahas topik hari ini, kenapa ramai orang daripada luar negara mau retired ataupun pension di Malaysia ini. Mesti ada beberapa faktor kenapa mereka memilih Malaysia untuk tempat retired ataupun menghabiskan masa tua mereka ya. Oke teman-teman, di video kali ini Sari terjumpa dua video. Nanti kita akan bahas ya, dari dua pandangan yang berbeda. Yang satunya daripada Jepun, satunya lagi daripada US ya. Kira-kira apa penyebabnya ya? Kita tengok video yang satu ini ya teman-teman. Sebelum kita lanjut ke videonya, buat kalian yang baru bergabung ke channel Sari, jangan lupa support Sari dengan cara klik tombol subscribe-nya. Oke, mari kita langsung ke videonya.
Bang, saya dah 20 tahun kerja kilang Jepun di Malaysia. Saya lihat kebanyakan Jepun yang dah pencen tak nak balik Jepun selepas kontrak mereka habis. Kenapa ya? Ni soalan yang bagus ya. Saya juga ada pengalaman lah, kawan isteri saya yang husband ya kerja di Malaysia. Dan kebanyakan Japanese yang bekerja di Malaysia ni, mereka ni berpangkat tinggi lah, level manager ke atas lah dan kenapa mereka ni suka kerja kat Malaysia? Salah satunya ialah sebab mereka ni tidak dikongkong oleh pegawai-pegawai yang lebih tinggi, atasan yang lebih tinggi di Jepun lah. Jadi mereka ni bebas untuk membuat apa-apa decision ataupun membuat arahan ataupun untuk membuat sesuatu keputusan lah di kilang ataupun di syarikat mereka. Bukanlah saya kata bebas macam mana, cuma mereka ni tidak selalu diperhatikan ataupun dimonitor secara detail oleh headquarters mereka di Jepun. Jadi kebanyakan mereka ni suka kerja kat Malaysia ni sebab mereka ni rasa lebih bebas. Okay? Dan juga kerja di Malaysia ni mereka rasa lebih ada power tu dan tidak dikongkong oleh adab-adab atau manners yang agak ketat di Jepun lah. Jadi mereka rasa lebih fleksibel untuk bekerja di Malaysia. Dan selain daripada itu, of course lah, tentang cuacanya, cuaca kat Malaysia kan stabil setahun kan. Jadi tak adalah panas sejuk kan yang melampau. Itu salah satunya. Yang keduanya of course sebab makanan. Mungkin kita ada variety, diversity of food kan. Jadi mereka suka duduk sini sebab yalah makanan tu. Dan mungkin ya selainnya ada antaranya mereka ni suka main golf kan. Jadi golf kat Malaysia ni murah. Jadi itulah salah satu perkara, hobi ni mereka suka duduk Malaysia ni sebab main golf murah, dan facilities golf di Malaysia juga adalah terbaik di dunia juga kan. Dan benda-benda lainnya saya rasa mungkinlah barang murah ataupun rumah pun murah. Contoh rumah kan, rumah murah dan selesa, macam apartment kan, lengkap dengan segala facilities macam gym, swimming pool dan semuanya. Kalau di Jepun tak ada benda-benda macam tu. Mungkin itulah antara faktor ya kenapa mereka ni suka duduk Malaysia. Walaupun lepas pencen kan, mereka masih angkat tangan, kata kat bos mereka, saya nak teruskan kerja di Malaysia. Itulah, saya harap ni dapat menjawab persoalan saudara. Apa ni ya, Encik Ketam ya. Okay, Assalamualaikum, terima kasih.
Salam, oke. Good job. Jadi itu tadi beberapa alasan kenapa orang Jepun selepas kerja di Malaysia, lepas sudah retired, dia pensiun itu tetap mau tinggal di Malaysia. Sudah dikatakan beberapa faktornya ya. Seperti yang kita tahu ya, kalau Sari tahu melalui TV, melalui media sosial, kehidupan di Jepun itu seperti apa. Nah kalau kita lihat ya di video, kalau orang Jepun jalan itu ya, sangat lajunya ya teman-teman. Sari juga pernah lihat satu artikel tentang banyaknya orang di Jepun itu stres ya dengan kehidupan mereka. Jadi kenapa diorang milih pensiun di Malaysia? Karena di Malaysia ini mungkin di anggapan mereka kehidupannya lebih santai ya kan, orang-orangnya itu friendly ya kan. Bagaimana menurut kalian? Tadi sudah dijelaskan ya beberapa faktornya, ada cuaca, golf katanya, orang-orang Jepun sangat suka main golf. Oke, Sari ada jumpa salah satu video lagi. Ini dia adalah orang US ya. Tajuk video ini adalah We Will Retire in Malaysia. Oke, kita tengok video yang satu ini ya teman-teman. Apa saja faktor yang membuat mereka tertarik mau pensiun di Malaysia dibandingkan negara lain? Kita tengok video yang satu ini.
So after living in Malaysia for 1 year in 4 different cities, my wife and I talk about would we ever want to live in Malaysia permanently and make this country our home. Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about different reasons that we've come up with why we think Malaysia would be a good fit for us, but also a few reasons why we might hesitate on living or retiring in Malaysia. I'm going to talk about the cost of living, the weather, healthcare, socializing, and many other aspects about living in Malaysia.
Okay.
Let's get started.
Oke.
The first reason why we would choose Malaysia to be our permanent home is the people here.
Wow,
The
people
people
here.
in Malaysia are very friendly. We often get warm smiles and hellos from strangers as we walk down the street. The people here are always asking us where are we from, and they
Yes,
want to
that's
hear our
it.
story. Our experiences with the Malaysian people have always been pleasant. The second reason we
Where
would
from?
choose Malaysia is that there is a high level of English proficiency here.
Oh.
When we've traveled in other countries, we often feel quite isolated because we don't speak the language. But here in Malaysia, almost everybody speaks enough English to have a conversation.
Oke, dua alasan yang tadi dia sebutkan. Yang pertama, orang-orang di Malaysia itu peramah, suka senyum ya, suka menyapa, where you from, hi sir, like that kan. Oke, yang kedua, tadi katanya juga di Malaysia orang-orangnya, hampir semuanya orang di Malaysia ini memang pandai bahasa Inggris ya. Apalagi basicnya ya teman-teman. So, itu yang membuat mereka merasa nyaman, selesa di sini ya. Oke, kita dengar lagi ya.
And reason number 3 why we would live in Malaysia is that there is an established expat community
Wow,
here.
expect.
If you want to meet people from your home country, it's very easy. There are Facebook groups and there are organized meetups and organized activities
ramai
arranged
ya.
by the expat
Expat
community.
here,
We
sini.
have lived in 4 cities in Malaysia, and in our experience, Penang is the place to go for the biggest retired expat
Oh, di
community,
Penang ya.
where Kuala Lumpur seems to be more business and career expats.
Yes.
Okay, reason number 4 is the cost of living, and really I think that's the main reason why people consider retiring outside of their home country, due to lower expenses based on the strength of the home currency.
Yes.
Our average spending during our year in Malaysia was $1,410 per
Oke,
month,
kali
and
4
that's
ya.
for everything except for our flights to get to Malaysia and some donations that we made, and that's for both of us, 2
Oh,
people.
2 orang.
I won't go too much into our cost of living because I plan on making a separate video explaining our spending in detail. I'll put a link in the corner of the screen when that video is ready. Overall, we found that our cost of living in Malaysia is roughly half of what it was to live back home in the US,
Oh, you
emphasizing the word roughly half. Everyone's situation is different.
Oke.
Okay, reason number 5 we would consider retiring in Malaysia is that it is a more developed country compared to places like Cambodia or Mexico. The road system is overall in good shape in my opinion. Public transportation within cities and also between cities is really good quality, much higher than the US, in fact, as far as I'm concerned, and so cheap.
Oke, lebih murah.
The internet has been good enough for us. We haven't experienced any serious power outages, and the overall infrastructure is high standards and getting even better over time.
Okay.
Reason number 6, the medical care. Oh wow, we are so impressed with the healthcare
Yeah.
in Malaysia. It is some of the best in the world. In fact, before COVID put a halt to medical tourism, Malaysia was receiving about 1 million foreigners. by living on the higher floors in your apartment building. We had one apartment in Penang that had a very strong breeze, and we found that we could be comfortable even without air conditioning. And if you really want to escape the heat in Malaysia, head to Cameron Highlands. This is a mountain area where the weather is absolutely perfect, not too hot, not too cold. We actually lived in Cameron Highlands for 3 months when the country first went into lockdown due to COVID and we couldn't leave. If we were to retire in Malaysia, we would consider choosing Cameron Highlands due to the nice weather, but there are some downsides. Because it's a resort town, it's a bit more expensive. The traffic is terrible, especially on weekends, and it doesn't have the large grocery stores or movie theaters or other conveniences that you'll find in big cities like Penang or KL.
Kecil aja kamera.
So yeah, in general, Malaysia is hot, although there are ways to make it a little bit more tolerable, but based on our personal preference, we prefer weather that is not quite so hot. Okay, now for reason number 2 why we might hesitate about choosing Malaysia is that because of its location, it's a lot of traveling for us to get back home to visit friends and family. In fact, Malaysia is 12 time zones away from our family, just about halfway around the world. Now for you, maybe that's not an issue. Maybe you're from somewhere closer like Australia, or I don't know, maybe you're trying to be as far away from home as possible. But for us, we want to go back to the US to visit, and to get to our hometown in the US, it usually takes 3 separate flights, maybe even 4, and that makes it expensive, it's not good for the environment, and it's just exhausting. I personally cannot hardly sleep on a plane, and then a few days of jet lag, and yeah, maybe you sleep fine on a plane, so it's not an issue. For me, it's one downside to Malaysia.
Okay.
Alright, reason number 3 is the immigration requirements. Now, let me just say that I am making this video in May of 2021, and at this time, the immigration requirements are a negative for us. I'll explain in a minute, but this could change soon and even potentially be a positive. We'll see. Malaysia has an immigration program called MM2H, or Malaysia My Second Home. We were in the process of working with an agent to apply for this visa that would have allowed us to stay in Malaysia for an extended length of time. But while we were in the middle of gathering the required paperwork, the program was suspended due to COVID and also some other reasons. The information about the new MM2H program and the requirements have yet to be released but are expected soon. I'll update the description below once I have updated information. I should also say that Sarawak, which is a state in East Malaysia, they have their own separate immigration system, and they have already released the details of their version of the MM2H program. If you Google to get information about Sarawak's program, be sure you're looking at information after September 2020. Anything older than that will be outdated. So those are the factors that are important to us, but maybe there's some factors that I didn't mention that would be important to you. Please let me know in the comments below. I have to say, I have visited almost 70 countries now, and if I had to choose one to live in right now, I would choose Malaysia. That would be number 1 at the top of the list.
Oke, ada beberapa faktor yang sudah diutarakannya ya, kenapa dia mau memilih Malaysia tempat pertamanya ya untuk pension di sini ya teman-teman. Tadi katanya ada cost living, ada tingkat keselamatan, transportasi yang sangat very good. Tadi katanya medical hospitalnya di sini itu sangat bagus kan, di antara yang terbaik di dunia. Tapi yang bagusnya lagi dengan cost yang lebih terjangkau ya. Terakhir katanya bencana alam di Malaysia ini tingkatnya tuh sangat rendah ya. Contohnya gempa bumi, angin topan, dan juga tsunami itu ya teman-teman. Nah tadi itu adalah beberapa alasan orang memilih Rama yang pension di Malaysia ini. Seperti itu teman-teman. Jadi bagaimana menurut kalian atau teman-teman daripada Malaysia? Ada juga pandangan lain terhadap orang di luar negara? Mana tahu kalian juga orang Malaysia sendiri mau retired ke negara mana? Boleh komen di bawah dan bagi tahu alasan kenapa kalian pilih di sana ya teman-teman. Jadi segitu aja video kali ini. Terima kasih telah menonton. Bagaimana tanggapan kalian? Juga kasih komentar kalian dekat bawah ya. Oke, terima kasih telah menonton video ini sampai akhir. Jangan lupa untuk klik tombol like-nya, subscribe juga, dan juga nyalakan lonceng notifikasinya. Ting ting. Oke, bye.